that maybe I'm getting a bit old, so I'm not really keeping up with things, because Josh Brolin and Brad Pitt were producers on the show, and I was just like, how is no one talking about this? And Josh Brolin was also starring in the show as a main character, so I was a bit confused. Like, how there are no reviews, no community about the show, and like, how come it doesn't have as many seasons? The thing is, I found the show was just on my homepage of the TV. It was just always there, just always looking at me, staring at me, and just begging for me to watch it. So one day, after a few weeks of just like watching other shows, doing other things, and just always seeing it every time I open the TV, turn on the TV, I sat there and I looked at it. I didn't look at anything else, and then I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna watch it. So I started watching it, and when I did start watching that first episode, I was very intrigued from the first few minutes of the opening episode.
They say it took 6 days to make the Earth. How did they know it was
from
6?
then on that I like it. So I don't like giving summaries of stories, whether it's in games or movies or TV shows. Most I'll do is just talk about like key aspects, but I think I can give a bit of insight or info on what the show is, but just enough to keep it still intriguing for you guys to go check it out for yourselves and go feel the same way I felt when I watched the show. So the official synopsis of Amazon Prime reads: Outer Range centers on Royal Abbott, a rancher fighting for his land and family, who discovers an unfathomable mystery at the edge of Wyoming's wilderness. So basically the show is sort of like a sci-fi western story that centers around two families, the Abbotts and Tillersons, and a void that appears on the Abbotts' west pasture that is pretty crazy and unnatural and nothing from this world that we've seen, and no one knows where it came from or what it is exactly. And that's basically what we get in the first like episode. We get to explore like, you know, just the opening episode, getting to know everyone and what's going on. And basically that's how the show drew me in, because I didn't see the synopsis on the Amazon Prime. I just went in blind. I didn't read anything else. I just went in blind and started watching. And to be honest, the premise and the mystery of the void just drew me in even more to the show, because when I started watching, I thought the show was going to be about one thing, but it surprised me and blew my expectations, because honestly, as I started watching, I didn't really think much of it and just thought that it wouldn't really be all that and wouldn't be as good. And to be honest, I thought it would be worse than what I watched, and I was pleasantly surprised by the end of the first episode. And now I was fully immersed in the show and wanted to see where it goes and how it ends and how they can do this all in 2 seasons. But at the time I didn't know that it was cancelled and we weren't getting any new seasons, so yeah. And in my mind, after the first episode, I already had like several ideas of where the show could go after the first episode, and I didn't want to watch the next episode immediately because I wanted to keep that intrigue in my mind and just keep the mystery alive and try and be immersed in the story as much as the characters are, and you know, just not look up anything, try figure it out on my own and see like how the next episode could look like from my own ideas. And that's one of the many things I like about the show, and something that it does so well. The thing it does is it keeps me intrigued and thinking about the mystery of the void and just the show in general and the world of the show, and makes every episode seem like a bigger and bigger event that keeps building on to something crazier happening in the rest of the show, like a crazy reveal or just like something crazy happening that leaves us with more questions and if they'll be answered in the next episode, but does it in a way that keeps it fascinating and fresh and just keeps you engaged and hooked in the show. And the show also makes everything feel important. Even the void feels like a character on its own as you try to figure out why it shows up randomly and disappears and what it is, if it's like made from anything, if it's from this world, or you know, if it just appears in this particular area or it's done this before, or you know, what's going on with the void. Is there anything surrounding it, or is there something flowing through the void? Okay, so this may be a bit all over the place, this video, since I haven't really planned it that well, and well, I know how other people do it in their other videos, but this is my video.
I built this shit. Me.
Well, mostly they'll go plot summary theme and then talk about what they like, but I didn't do that, so let me just do it right now. So for me, I've already told you guys the basic like summary of the plot and the key moments that I think are important, and I think it would be good right now just to tell you guys the theme of the show and get it out of the way before I go too deep into the video and ramble on about things that aren't relevant. So this is just me and what I think and feel. Yeah, what I think and feel that the theme is for the show is fearing the unknown. And the reason I say this is because even in the first episode, it is clearly seen that the main character, Royal, doesn't really believe in God or is very heavily questioning things. How he's here, he's really kind of afraid of the unknown consequences of actions that he makes, and just trying to keep everything normal and not really go out of his depth to let anything that he doesn't know, doesn't understand, come into his life. And we can see that through the first episode, and you know how he keeps things secret from his family and how he's hiding all these types of emotions when he finds the void in the first place. And even later in the episode, when some wandering woman called Autumn reaches the land and asks to camp out on their land far from the house, Royal is still a bit paranoid and tells everyone in the family not to trust her or talk to her because he doesn't know her, and he's scared like that she might find the void and tell the family, and just he doesn't want to think about what will happen if they find out about that. And I think I can see it without spoiling too much what the theme is that being scared of the unknown and not knowing what the void is and why it just appeared at this random time, and fearing consequences of telling anyone about the void or the events that happened in the first episode, the events that lead to what happens in the rest of the show. And also I'd say fear of losing things and people that are close by trying to keep things secret as a way to try and protect them. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Another thing I'd say that they also did well with the show was personally how well the characters were written. So personally, my favorite characters I'd say were Royal and Perry, and really every character in the show, but sometimes not every character was really, I didn't really like that. So yeah, one character I didn't really like was the sheriff. Yeah, the sheriff. She was just kind of annoying and kind of like a thorn in the side. But then after the first season, in the second season, or late the first season, the last couple of episodes, I started liking her and like relating to her character and being more enveloped in her character and seeing like how her story plays out with all these things happening. But for me, like with Royal and the arcs of the two characters I've mentioned, Royal and Perry, I really like them for that. With Royal trying to get his family back and be more open and honest and tell them a lot more and be like, stop keeping secrets and facing his fears, and Perry trying to move on and dealing with pent-up emotions and anger in a better way, a better man and better father, and Red trying to leave, pursue bigger things, his girlfriend, and just get out of this box and get out of this town, and Autumn trying to start a cult and take over the world. And I'd say it's pretty good to watch, pretty fun to watch how they develop from season 1 to season 2 and how things pan out. I'd say they are well written and feel lived in, and it feels like every choice that they make just pulls us deeper into the story of the unknown and how each person is reacting to it and what's happening around them. Another thing I really enjoyed about the show was just the overall cinematography and how some shots were composed. And now I'm not a director or cinematographer or anything, but I enjoyed the scenery of the Wyoming lands and the mountains and the green, and just seeing the town from these far shots and seeing these complex shots and areas, and just seeing like how the nature interacts with this mysterious void that showed up. So it was just fun to see that. I felt like it was shot in a way that's bigger than its budget, and I think that ultimately led to it being cancelled, because it seems like from the 2 seasons that exist that they were going to try and plan and do something way big and didn't really have the budget for it, so they got cancelled for those reasons. And I'd say it was just nice seeing the town and the size of it, and it felt nice. The scenery was kind of haunting and vast and feels bigger than you, bigger than the characters, if that makes sense, as if the land itself is trying to hide the secrets of the void or something from you. And again, we loop back into the theme of not knowing and issues, and that's kind of really the identity of the show, just like the unknown. Okay, so another thing I'd like to talk about would be the pacing of the show. So what I found out recently is that I like slow burn shows and movies, and I'd say Outer Range is kind of a slow burn show, but since it got cancelled, we can't get the resolution of the show and how everything ties up. And I'd say the first 2 seasons were kind of slow to pick up, but when they get get into it, it really picks up and puts you in the fold of the show and gets you really engaged. But the facing for me felt right and good for what the show was trying to achieve, and just always keeping the viewer asking questions about the next episode. And yeah, I'd say it's pretty hard to do that with other shows and make it so just enough stuff was answered in the underrated show, in my opinion, since so many shows come out these days and everything just kind of falls under the radar, since there's big players like Marvel, DC and Sony and all these other streaming services and all these confusing things that just make it really hard to find a gem of a show that you like when they're pushing these bigger shows that are mini extensions of movies that already exist, so not really much room for creativity. And I'd say that this was to give my love to everyone who watched all my previous videos and liked and commented and told me their thoughts, and yeah, it's much appreciated, and thanks for the feedback and support. And I know this video is kind of a gear shift in the style that I usually talk about or do videos in, but I just wanted to talk about the things I like with this channel and these videos that I make. So I'm going to be doing a lot more other things and get a lot more better equipment for better sound and better quality. So yeah, just subscribe and strap in and get ready for the future. So thank you and bye.